I said stop, girl, I can't get enough. And oh,
And ho!
Mark Rally Control, this is sailing vessel Finding Avalon. Finding Avalon. We are approximately 2 nautical miles from the finish line and will arrive in approximately 20 minutes.
oh, like a buzz, still in breath from my lungs. It's so hard to breathe when you're next to me. Take me higher, this love is a fire, girl, take me away.
Welcome back to Finding Avalon. Last week you joined us on the first 1,000 nautical miles across the Atlantic Ocean, where we met some dolphins, landed our first fish on Avalon, and busted the fishing rod.
We started the trip in a really great, consistent 18 to 20 knots, and that's sort of just been consistent the whole way through. We found at night though, because there was quite a few competing swells, that there was quite a big risk of us jibing throughout the night in terms of like a Chinese jibe. So what we've actually been doing is just pulling the main down at night and just sailing under full jib. And it's been quite surprising, like we only lose maybe a knot of boat speed, but it just makes it so much more comfortable for the people on watch, less things for them to worry about, and most importantly, less things for everyone else downstairs to be worrying about. Saves me from sleeping with one eye open, always thinking that someone's about to Chinese jibe or get into trouble where they're trying to reef sails and stuff. It just makes it a lot more easy and manageable. So it's great now that we're sort of 8 days in and Neil's really comfortable doing his own watches. We're now on a 3-hour watch system each, which is nice because we have 3 hours on and 9 hours off, which definitely gives everyone a good amount of time to rest, read a book, listen to some music. It's pretty rare that you actually get a straight out 8 hours sleep. It's always broken up with being thrown around the boat or sails flapping or something. So it's good to be able to have a solid chunk where you can, nap for an hour, do something, nap for an hour, do something.
Poor old Neil had a bit of a baptism of fire with the flying fish. He went the first 8 days of the crossing without seeing a single one. Then on his night watch, one came and whacked him in the chops. And then this.
Last night was quite an extreme night on watch. The sea was really, really rough. The wind was rough. Didn't quite know what I was doing, so it took every ounce of my concentration. So as a result, I slept like a baby. And when I woke up, I found that in my room I had company. I had to deal with it pretty quickly, so I've had to put a reconstruction together for you here. So in this video, the cabbage is playing the part of my head, and the picture of a flying fish is playing the part of the flying fish that was lying next to me when I woke up, and which woke me up when I rolled over with my face onto it. So, as a result, I've taken some pretty extreme measures. Here's the porthole that our friend came through, and I've put a little sign on it.
Oh no. Oh, they seem to be closed today. Hello? Oh. Oh well.
Take all your friends with you. No.
Day 9 was a really good day, and a good day for a party.
Oh, no way!
For you.
My favourite beer. Thank you, Jackson. Cheers.
Alright, boys.
Oh, what a treat. This was the local beer in Malta. This was the same in Suriname.
Second time.
Days 10, 11, 12 and 13 flow on. This is our world now. We've adapted to it, and it's hard to remember what life was like before we became residents of Neptune's garden.
I leave what's wrong.
We're in a rhythm now. Life is good and cruisy. This is our new normal.
No point to resist, nor ever fight. From days to years, just passing by. We lost our attention, lost the light across the ocean of our lives. You know what's wrong to be with you. I never felt you wanted to, like all those parties without fun, like a summer without sun. You know what's wrong to be with you.
We found it really comfortable just having our pulled out Genoa and mainsail and just having them goose winged. It's given us plenty of boat speed. I mean, I'm also really glad that we put the third reef in, because we've had it up to sort of 20-25 knots, which you wouldn't normally think. You know, I'd always thought that we might be putting that third reef in around 35 knots or whatever, but it's actually been really nice. At times we've been using it just to help with a little bit of roll, particularly if it's quite squally conditions. But yeah, we've been reefing at least 3 times a day, you know, putting reefs in, taking reefs out, going from no reefs to 2 reefs, just trying to balance out the boat. And just the ease of being able to change your sail area really quite quickly, and for a new passage and a new adventure like this, I think it's quite a tolerant sail setup. You know, we definitely, if you cast back a few months ago, we really wanted some kind of spinnaker, whether it's an asymmetrical spinnaker or symmetrical spinnaker. You know, coming from a racing background, I'm used to boats having a whole sail locker of 15 different sails, and I've always thought it was a bit challenging only having 2, but really we would not be using a spinnaker over probably 15 knots anyway. At that point it starts just getting a bit too much to manage, and once it gets over that, it starts to become really hard to get a spinnaker down in 18 to 20 knots. It's also been interesting, a lot of the boats that, you know, a lot of the boats had spinnakers, they all started the race and crossed the start line with spinnakers. We've seen a few of them go past over the last few days, and it's quite interesting how they're not flying their spinnakers anymore as soon as it is over the 18 or 15 to 18 knots and quite challenging swell. So yeah, not feeling too bad that we don't have a spinnaker. But if anyone wants to donate one, feel free.
We would love one. So we're in the middle of the Atlantic and a helicopter just circled us, and we don't know why. We didn't have the radio on, we just turned it on.
Yeah.
Where the hell did they come from? There's nothing out here. And no one. There's no one on our AIS. No one in range.
That's weird as.
That's so strange. Yeah, they came right down close to us and had a good look at us. Maybe there's a rogue at large.
There must have been like a some kind of distress call about an out of control speeding yacht. Of course, Dr. Hayes was on the wheel. Yeah.
Somebody probably called about a backing jib. We never forget. On day 15 we are becalmed. Luke is not happy, Jackson isn't overjoyed either. I'm secretly in bliss about the situation for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the change keeps things interesting, but secondly and most of all, we get to go swimming.
Want me to pass you a knife?
Big day for Avalon. We're going to make our first phone call at sea using our sat phone. It's my sister's birthday, so I'm going to give her a little call. Happy birthday! Can you hear me? Oh, you got the email as well. I texted you as well. Did you get my text? Yay! Dad doesn't crash the boat. Oh, he's tried.
Too late.
He's given it a red hot go. How cool is this? He's doing his clumsy old best. No, he's been brilliant. He's been really good. He's been an asset to the crew. Yeah, the sun's just gone down. We just had a lovely sunset over the sea, and now the night has fallen. And Jackson, the captain, is cooking a beautiful spaghetti bolognese.
So each day, because we're part of the ARC, we get a weather update, a position report, and like a general fleet update. And the fleet update normally tells you generally just stuff that's happened to other boats, unfortunately. And we received an email today saying that a boat had lost its mast about 200 miles north of us, and they're still about 600 miles from St. Lucia. So they're putting out an urgent call asking for people to drop off some extra diesel for them. Unfortunately, they're a bit far from us. It'll take us about 2.5 days to get up there, and it'll be an upwind battle.
And even if we could get there, we do not have that much diesel.
Yeah, we'd be able to give them about 30 litres, which
that wouldn't help them.
wouldn't really help them.
Wouldn't help either of us.
A boat hit a whale about 4 days ago and damaged their rudder. Sorry?
That's really sad.
A boat ripped off their main traveller. A boat lost all their electronics. A boat lost their rudder completely. So, we're feeling pretty fortunate on Little Avalon because we've only had
Wait, touch wood, quick.
one casualty.
Touching some wood.
This is our little block or pulley, which we had on the bottom of the kicker, which is the rope that goes from the end of the pole down to the base of the mast.
The whisker pole.
And it holds the pole from the jib in place.
He's talking about the whisker pole.
And yesterday, it broke After 17 days of constant abuse and Xanthe backing the jib every couple of minutes, finally sheared off.
Captain backs the jib like the best of us.
So, anyway, that's been our
one casualty.
Our casualties so far, but 17 days of sailing's pretty good.
I think we've done pretty good. I got lots of burns from the oven. Lots of bruises.
Oh, so many bruises. It's so hard. It's so hard just always getting smashed against a wall or
smashed against. I got, you know, the door just slams if we go on a hard roll. The door just slams itself. I got the fat of my arm slammed in the crack of the door. Like that really. I'm feeling really good today. How do you feel?
I'm feeling good for day 17.
How many miles until St. Lucia, Jacko?
161. Fuck yeah.
Let's go.
Still eating like kings on day 19.
What you got over here, Xanthe?
So, probably the most stupid boat food you can make. It's a tower. I made like a veggie tower. And then we're going to have burgers within the veggie tower. And halloumi and bacon and all the good stuff. So we got pumpkin, red pesto, a sweet potato hash, a beetroot, and then another pumpkin. And some halloumi and some bacon.
Very exciting. Smells delicious.
So much yes.
Are there more of those? Do you want me to grab?
No, this is the last one. Oh, come on, day 19. Do me proud.
Day 20 was the day that we'd all begun to forget was coming. The excitement of seeing land came before the actual sighting of land. We jibed Avalon in the direction of St. Lucia and waited in anticipation of seeing land that day.
Excited to get to land. Today was a bit frustrating with the wind, as was yesterday. So I'm about ready to walk on solid ground, have a nice shower, enjoy some perks of life on the hard, but I'm sure I'll miss this. It's been an excellent crossing.
What's the first thing that you're excited about doing?
Probably having a shower with a rum punch before and after.
Or just having a shower with a rum punch in your hand?
Yes.
And ho!
And ho!
Okay, getting ready to go about. Okay, it's going. Just letting you know, that was sweet.
That was lucky.
No crash bang.
That was on. That was on.
Well, you've only been sailing together for a month straight. I would hope you would have nailed that.
Then we will need pop.
All of those nights you felt alone. Cold wind blows and chills your bones.
So Xanthe, what are your first impressions of St. Lucia?
So we're just about to hit the finish line. We thought that we were going to arrive here at about 2 o'clock in the morning when...
Arc rally control, this is sailing vessel Finding Avalon. We are approximately 2 nautical miles from the finish line and we'll arrive in approximately 20 minutes.
Right, and we're number 194.
Go home! Go home! I hate you!
So yesterday when we were assessing the situation, we fully were prepared to get here in the dark of the night, at best about midnight. But today we were just racing through, we were flying, and we were flanked by a couple of boats. We were flanked by Mad Max, we've kind of been neck and neck with them for a couple of days, and then there was another boat. Who's the other boat?
Baltic.
There's another boat that appeared out of nowhere that was a really fast boat. They were going about 10 knots, called Baltic, and we're like, well, they're definitely gonna scooch past us. But no, we held our line. We've all been working really hard today to keep the speed up, and we're very pleased with ourselves. So yeah, we just burnt them, man. They're all the way back there. I mean, my heart's been racing ever since, even before we saw land today. My heart's been racing all day, just the thought of seeing land. And when it happened, just the excitement just went from here to here. And yeah, it's been a very, very emotional day. Very emotional. Actually, the trip itself, I don't know, I don't know whether I'm a psychopath or anything, but I actually, my emotions were flatlined. I had no feelings about anything. We were off, and then we were off, and my emotions stayed the same throughout. And then about halfway through, I was a bit worried that I was going to get some sort of Stockholm syndrome, because I'd got far too in the rhythm of it and far too comfortable, and just wondered whether I even want to get off this boat or not. But then when we saw land, we are so excited to use our legs and go to the rumba and eat fresh food and have a proper shower and not wobble around all the time.
Our arrival in St. Lucia was rather romantic. We arrived at sunset, jibed Avalon into the wind, and for the first time in 20 days she was on a lean again.
Someone's excited to sail on the wind.
Passing through the finish line, every emotion possible raced through me, but on the top of the pile was a feeling of accomplishment. I was proud of my crew and proud of my boat.